Photos that look like they belong on a movie poster. Today we're gonna have a look at how we can bring our photos to that next level.
Wait, haven't we done this before?
Quiet. Howdy everyone, today we're going to take a look at some local adjustments and how we can really utilize them to the fullest. And even though we have touched on this concept before, AI is quickly changing the name of the game, so we just wanted to update it just a little bit. So let's go take a look. I'm going to start with overall exposure adjustments. And this photo right here is quite dark, so let's increase exposure and raise shadows to reveal more detail in the shadow of the car. Okay, but this move made it lose a bit of contrast, so let's boost contrast by slightly lowering the blacks. And I'm gonna also raise clarity and add a bit of dehaze to bring out just a little more contrast. Okay, next we can start working with local adjustments. I'm gonna open the local adjustments tool in the right panel. Okay, so in this video I'm not gonna cover each and every single mask and what they do because I covered that already in the spring update video, and you can find a link to that in the description or right here. And instead, let's just cover some of these in a more practical sense so we can get an idea of what they do, and let's dive back in. I'm gonna start with the main subject, which is our car right here. I'm gonna select subject, wait for it to be selected, and then start playing around with it. Now I want the subject to pop out as much from this photo as possible, so I'm gonna brighten it using exposure. And to avoid any kind of blowouts, I'm gonna lower lights and raise shadows a little bit just to bring out more details from the darker parts of the car. I'm also gonna add a lot of clarity to bring out the curves of the car and then lower texture. This gives me that smooth, shiny finish. Now finally, I'm gonna add some vibrance just to make the blue paint stand out nicely. And then I'm gonna check the before and after just to know what difference we made. Now again, we've covered this several times in the past. It's always good to check the before and after just to see if you're on the right path and kind of have a check and balance to see if you're going in the direction that you want to. Let's dive back in. Now the subject is done, so let's move on to the next mask, which is background. Once AI selects the background for me, I'm gonna lower exposure and raise contrast. I'm also gonna lower saturation to help the saturated car stand out against the desaturated background. And that should do it for the background. Next, I'm gonna select sky. I want to bring out the sky and the clouds, so I'm gonna bring down exposure quite a bit and add some contrast. Lower lights slightly and decrease blacks to restore some contrast. The sky looks almost unnaturally dark here, so I'm gonna raise whites to brighten the brightest areas. Then, I'm gonna check the before and after again, okay? So I'm gonna add some clarity just to emphasize the sky even a bit more, and then I'm gonna check it again. Okay, now let's go back to the car. The lower left part of the car is more in the shadows than the upper right, and that's probably because the sun was shining from the top right. So I want to even out the lighting just a little and help the car stand out a little more from the background. I'm gonna select subject and subtract part of the mask using linear gradient. I'm gonna fine tune the gradient so that it follows the natural shadow line on the car as closely as possible. First, I'm gonna raise shadows, but then immediately lower blacks to bring back some contrast. And since it needs more contrast, I'm gonna add it back using the contrast slider. Now it's still a little bit dark after that, so let's add a bit of exposure. Again, I'm gonna check the before and after, and I think that we're headed in a much better direction now. Next, I'm gonna adjust the bright part of the car. I'm gonna select subject again, subtract another linear gradient, and lower lights and exposure. Then I'm gonna reduce blacks and add contrast to bring back some punch. Again, I take a look at how it looks before and after. Now the roof looks a bit unnaturally dark, so I'm gonna select it separately. And I'm gonna select subject and this time subtract a radial gradient. To select just the subtracted gradient, I'm gonna invert the radial gradient masking tool. But just be careful not to invert the main mask because that would select the opposite of what we want here. Next, I'm just gonna play around with shadows and exposure to brighten the roof a little, without making it obvious that it's been selected separately. Okay, I'm gonna check the before and after again, and since the transition is a little bit visible, I'm gonna lower exposure just a bit more. And now it looks much better. Now, I want to work on some of the car's details, like headlights, turn signals, and maybe even the windshield. So let's get started with the windshield. I'm going to select it using Object. With this tool, I'm going to click the area where Zoner Photo Studios should automatically find the windshield. As you can see, the selection isn't completely perfect, but that's fine. It's still a lot faster than doing all of it manually. Now I'm going to click Add to the brush mask and finish selecting the rest. At the top, the mask is covering areas that it shouldn't, so I'm going to use the brush to subtract those. Alright, and when I'm done, I'm going to slightly lower exposure and shadows to darken the windshield, and check the before and after again. Next, let's focus on the turn signals and the small orange lights on the front grille. Since they're all orange, I'm going to use the color range tool for this. First, I'm going to use the eyedropper to click on a specific orange part. Then I'm going to fine tune the color range. Now, I'm not afraid to go to the extremes and clean up the selection. Finally, I'm going to slightly erase, enlarge, and blur a lot just to avoid unwanted artifacts. Then I'm going to subtract the background so the mask only affects the subject. I'm going to increase saturation to the max just to make the orange really pop, and lower dehaze to create a sort of foggy glow around the lights. Now finally, let's increase the lights just to make it look like they're shining. And again, let's have a look at the before and after. Now speaking of shining lights, let's make the headlights look like they're actually on and shining. So I'm going to select Radial Gradient and draw around one of the headlights. I'm going to increase gradient width to the max, and I'm going to do the same with the second one. Then I'm just going to decrease haze, increase lights, and slightly raise exposure. I'm going to lower the mask's opacity, and this is going to make it less flashy. And I'm going to check the before and after again. All right, I think this looks pretty good, but these LED lights glow a little bit blue in reality, so I'm going to go back to the mask and move temperature a bit more towards blue. Now to spice it up, I'm going to add a fake light beam just to make it look like the headlights are on and are shining directly into the lens. And I'm going to use a radial gradient again and then draw a line across both lights. Now with this beam, I'm going to do the exact same adjustments as with the headlights. Finally, don't forget to lower opacity. And let's check the before and after again. Finally, to guide the viewer's eye to the subject, I'm going to add a radial gradient around the entire car and gently increase exposure. I'm going to duplicate and invert the mask and then slightly lower exposure, increase contrast, and take down saturation. I'm going to check the before and after again for both masks, and I think that is now looking pretty good. So let's get to tweaking shift primary colors just to make the colors a bit more vivid. And since the photo, had a bit of noise, let's apply some noise reduction. Now, while reducing noise, I'm noticing that I completely forgot about the wheels. So let's quickly use the radial gradient to select the wheels and then boost clarity, texture, as well as dehaze. I'm also going to raise the whites just to bring out the white details in the wheels and deepen the blacks with more contrast. And that's it. Let's see what the photo looked like before we even started anything and how far we were able to push it. Now here you can see a real difference after each mask that we added, and I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? Now that's it for local adjustments and how you can apply many of these new tools into practice and into photos you might be editing on the day-to-day. and have your pictures look like they belong on a movie poster. Let us know what you think in the comments. We're interested about your guys' thoughts and things you'd like to see, especially after our latest update. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe bell so you never miss another video, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, see you later. Ciao.